a whole lot of the content are developed in English, which is supposed to be a second language to us, although it's a formal language. But we realize that most students are thrown to the background just because of their inability to speak fluently. And to me, I don't believe education is about speaking someone's language and taking it so personal. Without it, we can't do anything. So by teaching in our own local languages, which we've now scaled up to about 4 languages, Twi, Ga, Ewe, and Hausa.
Okay.
And we are making so much with students who are hitherto gotten F9 in mathematics are now getting A1 just after using there for 3 months.
I see. Wonderful, wonderful. Great. That's some wonderful stuff you're doing. But what compelled either of you or the two of you or your companies to, join or to apply for the EdTech Fellowship? Just let me start off with you.
Oh, okay. We've always been an advocate for EdTech in Africa. So when we saw what the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship was offering, we saw that it aligned with our goals. So that is why we applied. And we've seen the access that it will give us to GES, UNICEF, Ministry of Education. And this is something that we will not have the connection to on our own. So
it's open doors for you.
Yes, it's really open doors for us.
So why did IAPREP decide to jump on board?
So we realized we have a wonderful product that has gained the endorsement of so many linguistic professors. But I realized getting access to the markets, whether the finances to do a huge marketing campaign or through the GES and the Ministry of Education and NACA, we believe we're having some hiccups, hurdles at that journey. So when we realized what they stood for and how they can easily help us maneuver through those paths, we believed joining them or getting access to whatever or getting under their umbrella will give us a great access to these things. So yeah,
I see. Can you just describe the journey, how it started? Just run us through the process, the two of you. Just run us through
for the
yes, how you got in and everything that you've done up until this point that you've made the first call.
Okay. I think the first was just the application, which we submitted online. I remember the last day of the application we weren't done with, because it was quite hectic. You have to get this document, you have to fill this form, you have to do your elevator pitch and submit. So we were putting everything, and because it's a tech company, we had most of our workers working from home. So to do that, it was really putting everything together and submitting. It was quite a journey. Then I remember they called us for an interview, which was done online. And they had sent me an email earlier, which I had missed. So unfortunately, they called me about 30 minutes to the interview. So I called some of my co-founders that, hey, this is a big deal. We have to be available. So everyone, was available. And because we've been applying for some of these things for a while, we knew we've been confident with some of the interviews. So when we knew we'd go. I think at the interview, I remember I was asked about the app and the engagement they were having with us. I believe the project is good. It looked like it was our day, because every question they were asking, we were hitting it right on the head. And from there, they asked us to submit some things. We did it. Then the day I received the email, trust me, we're all excited. Then from there, we went to the next stage where they did the launching of the program. And I think with my co-founders, it's been a journey. This thing we started behind the scenes around 2014, and it's been
10 years.
Yeah. But it's we only incorporated it in 2019. But behind the scenes, we knew it was so hectic. We were shooting the videos, we were prototyping it, because Ghanaians are some way. You bring something which is made in Ghana, and everyone has a problem with it, because Ghana for now you be a year and then so we took a whole lot of time to prototype it, so that when they asked us the question, we knew we had data to back what we were doing. And I think when the team got to the launch grounds and they saw the big projects, what we are doing is not just a recognition from a couple of lecturers or a group of friends, but this time you are getting a recognition from MEST, MasterCard, being part of the first cohort selected 12 companies. I think it was a big deal for us, and it was a team celebration, and we're excited.
I see. Jessica, what about you? How did it go for you? I guess the process will be the same, but what interesting story. Can you tell us about your own process as you try to apply and all of that?
Oh, okay. A rep from MEST reached out to us on LinkedIn and told us about an accelerator they wanted to run with MasterCard.
Okay.
So we applied, and then we went through the interviews. And it wasn't easy, but finally we were selected.
I see. And you made it.
Yes, we
So
made
when
it.
you also got the email, you were happy.
We were very excited.
I see. I see. How many people work at QNO?
I don't want to guess.
Okay, but you're quite large.
We are starting up, so
Yeah,
we are,
startup,
yes,
so
we are getting
We
there.
are getting there. I have how many people work with? How many of you work there?
About 20.
Yeah, about 10.
About
Yeah, wonderful. Let's talk about, I want each of you to tell me a great success story, right? That highlights what your technology or the technology you are offering, what it has done to create a difference in the lives of students and educators. Just can I start with you, and then Scream can also tell me your story.
Okay, so we have so many success stories, but I'll talk about one during the lockdown, during the COVID era. When schools were closed, most of the parents were worried that their students will not get admission into their first class school because they're not getting the education that they needed. So a parent from Kumasi saw our ad on social media and reached out to us about getting the BC prep kits for her daughter in Shira. So she paid for it, and she subscribed to the BC prep kits. So we realized that as she was taking the quizzes and the mocks, she wasn't doing so well. So we got the idea to add a video feature to our platform. So after watching the videos and watching how the teachers were teaching and all that, we saw that her grades were improving. When she finally got the BEC, she did very well, and she got her first choice school.
Wonderful. That's great. Sloan, what about you? What interesting success story will you share with us?
Okay, I think I have this particular lady. I remember I have a couple of friends from abroad, Jojo Akwa and George Akwa. So we normally visit there, about twice a year. So anytime we go there, we sleep in this particular guest house. And I noticed this very pretty lady always at the reception. So after a couple of years, I tried to ask her, is it what you really want to do? Just the reception job. So Mr. Boachi, math teaching. Apparently, she's written the math like 6 times. And she was only shuffling between F9 and E8, F9, E8. So I told her to give me her number. I just sent her in the library. Then, so when I got to Accra, I called her to download the app and I gave her access to it. And I decided just guiding her through. So every week I'll call her, how are you doing? How the studies going? How are you doing? Then finally, I think we went there again. We broke communication. So I went there again. And when this girl met me at the entrance, she just hugged me and was crying. And I was like, oh, what's up? She said, I don't want to say anything. She opened the results. She had A1.
Oh, wow.
That's not currently, as we speak, she's in the nursing school.
Oh, that's amazing.
And on my birthday, just the past 9th April, she sent me the most wonderful birthday ever. Thank you so much. And you're here because of
you've changed somebody's life
Definitely.
Forever. She was shuffling between have to be there. What would you tell parents out there and stakeholders in the space who are still not too open to using technology? Some people are afraid, others are unsure. What will you tell them out there concerning using technology to solve their various educational issues?
I think now it's very easy to get access to technology, and there are so many benefits to parents and students especially. So we should be more open to it. We should be more open-minded, and we should embrace technology in education.
Okay, so
I think when it comes to the educational space, the topic of language is very common. I think their biggest fear is, so are you saying a teacher should go to class and use P and use GAN whilst other students are in the class, they might not speak that language? But this is technology. Higher Prep allows you to select the language that you speak, you understand, your mother tongue. It teaches you in that particular language. So this bridges the gap with the multi-ethnic state we are in. So if you are an Hausa, if you are Ga, if you are an Akan, if you are whatever language you speak fluently, this technology allows you to select a particular language and study in it. So what higher prep is saying is the kids can go to school, be taught in the English language because we are all multi-lingual and probably we've chosen English to study in. So they can be taught in that particular language. But when they get home or they go to the ICT lab, they should be given the opportunity. They should have the opportunity to learn in their language. We keep talking about the languages dying out. They are dying out because we are making students believe our language is only used at home. Our language is only good for political and marketing. But our language is also good for science. It's good for math. It's good for ICT. It's good for anything that English can be used for. And I think that's what the parents should have. They have to believe.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I've been speaking with Skundi Apia, he's CEO of Higher Prep, and Jessica Kwao, Head of Operations, QNO EdTech. They are two of the 12 companies that have been selected for the inaugural MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship in Ghana. Guys, thank you so much and wish you the very, very best on your journey. All right, now let's get into the second part of our session for this month. And it's a conversation that I've had with Anyele Pebi, who's founder and CEO of Pebi Clubs, Larissa Kofi, Program Lead, Education and Skills, MasterCard Foundation, Nana Jemfi Edrabo, Executive Director, Senlos, and Stephen Kweko Usu, who's Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service. And it's all on the same topic, unlocking market access, navigating the complexities of edtech startups in Ghana.
All right, so coming to you live. All right, so coming to you live from the Kempinski Hotel at the sidelines of the launch of the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship. This is EdTech Monday. My name is Bernard Avile. It is such a joy to welcome you to one of our outdoor EdTech Mondays, sponsored by the MasterCard Foundation, organized by the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School for Technology, MEST, and hosted on CTFM. Today's topic seeks to unlock market access for EdTech companies and help them navigate the complexities of being an EdTech company in a growing market like Ghana. We're privileged to have 4 very erudite panelists. I'm going to invite them to come up stage. They'll introduce themselves and we'll dive right in. This program is being held before an audience of very diverse people. We have people in the educational sector, we have school heads, we have educational CSOs, and of course, we have the first 12 fellows for the EdTech Fellowship. Thank you for being here. I want to invite to join us as our first panelist, Anyele Pebi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Pebi Cups. Please. Thank you so much, Anyele. We are proud of what you're doing, and we are happy to hear more about the journey of the Pebi Cups. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
From the policy side, we're privileged to have the Deputy Director General of Ghana Education Service in the person of Stephen Kweku Owusu. Please put your hands together for Stephen. The GES is easily the largest government institution in the educational sector, managing pre-tertiary education. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. And Stephen and his team assist the DG to operationalize educational policy at the pre-tertiary level. Thank you, Stephen, for being on the program. We're also privileged to have the Executive Director of SendLoss. It's really government's arrowhead for pushing EdTech into the communities. So they are like our rep in the state. We're privileged to have Nana Jemfi Edrabo, who is the Executive Director of SendLoss. Always a pleasure having Nana. He's our champion for EdTech in government, and he's really doing a great job. Nana, it's good to see you again. Thank you for being here. Last but not least, the Program Lead Education and Skills, MasterCard Foundation, Ghana, our own Larissa Akrofi. Wonderful. This panel, Larissa, thanks for being here. This panel aims to delve into the challenges and strategies related to market access for EdTech companies. You can get a good idea it's difficult to penetrate some markets. Some are monopolies, some are oligopolies. Some, even though they are ostensibly free, have very strong entry barriers. Angele, a year ago, launched Pebby Cups. To be on this panel alone is testimony of how well she's done. How do I know? I was MC for that event. Angele, tell us how the journey has been so far. Tell us a bit about the Pebby Cups and your growth in the past 12 months.
Okay, thank you very much, Bernard. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, MasterCard Foundation and MEST. It's a real privilege to be part of this fellowship. So actually, Pebby Cups is almost 6 years old, but we launched Carnival, a behavioral change campaign in partnership with UNESCO Accra World Book Capital on May 11th last year. So the Pebby Cups journey has been an interesting one. It was initially to fulfill a family need, and bringing books to Ghana was to get our children to read while we were on vacation. And then COVID came. Well, before then, our friends and family were so excited to see our collection of books, hard copy books, used to borrow our books, so we started a small library. When COVID struck, we had thousands of books, and we had all these books in the library, all the children at home. So we pivoted and started to run an EdTech platform. We did a platform together, had thousands of books available to children, and created an exciting community of readers during the COVID period. We had over 1,000 children reading with us at that time. So after COVID, we realized that this is more scalable than the hard copy books. And the problem was even worse as a result of COVID, where children had been out of school for so long. The reading problem is a big problem. And so we decided to take it head on and to actually try and make a dent at literacy levels, at the low literacy levels in Ghana. One of the major challenges, the root causes of low literacy in our context, is just a general lack of appreciation for reading. And it's such a fundamental, pervasive root cause that is very hard to tackle. You can give people free books and they will not read them. You can actually try and pay people to read and they still won't read. So it's actually a very difficult problem to get to. So when UNESCO announced that Accra was World Book Capital a year ago, was a fantastic opportunity to collaborate. That's the key word here, collaborate across society, not just in the edtech space or in the education space, but across society to actually attempt to implement a behavioral change campaign where we see reading as fun, reading leading to success, and where everyone should read. So the Carnival campaign, Carnival from 2 words, Cane for the Ghan word read, and Carnival for fun and excitement was launched a year ago, and that's where you were the MC, and we're excited to bring excitement to reading as a result of Carnival.
Yeah, it's fair to say the growth of Pebby Cups took a sharper gradient after Carnival. What was the key to getting people excited about reading again? I notice you go to public schools. I see your vans moving. Kids are excited to eat popcorn, do quizzes, and win points. Just tell us how Carnival changed the growth trajectory of Pebby Cups.
Yeah, so Carnival initially it had to be a serious collaboration among parents, teachers, schools, the media, educators, publishers, everyone. Literally everyone had to play a part to have this behavioral change campaign be successful. And I mean, everyone loves to do something that they consider fun. So we had to rebrand reading as reading being fun. We had to partner with over 20 influencers, and this is all while not being funded. So imagine a behavioral change campaign on a $0 budget, and so it just had to really appeal to the entire society to actually pitch in. And so we had many media interviews on City FM, City TV, and all major channels as well, all done as part of UNESCO Accra World Book Capital, so the media was happy to give us the space. The schools were very excited to see us bringing their fun to reading. So the rebranding had to be colorful, paraphernalia, T-shirts, colors, popcorn machines, bouncy castles, just bringing the fun to reading. And I think it's been very successful because it's culminated in 2 TV shows, and which we had over 1 million people watching. And so that did definitely make a dent on the paradigm shift here.
I think it's fantastic. Wonderful. All right, now I want to come to you because it seems as if everybody I talk to in the edtech sector COVID is an important inflection point. I had never heard of send loss until COVID. Tell us what send loss is, what disruption COVID brought, and how that spurred your penetration into the Ghanaian educational system.
All right. Thank you so much, and I wish all the fellowship persons congrats for this new journey. And of course, when it comes to COVID, it brought a new change in the educational space. But before, my name is Nana Jemfie Jabo. I am the executive director for Sendlos, and Sendlos is the agency mandated to lead EdTech in the country. So if you see the ministry, we have a lot of agencies. My mandate is to make sure that we go into a traditional classroom, brick and mortar, talk and chalk. I have to mimic the same thing online, that the student wouldn't miss anything, but everything will look so perfecto. So before COVID, St. Louis was still there. The name was President's Special Initiative. It started in 2002, and our mandate I already spoke about. We have been there, but our work was not very pronounced until COVID came, and it shot St. Louis to prominence, as we can see. A lot of things we have done at St. Louis to make sure we can move EdTech to the next phase. Our vision and our focus is on 5 crucial things. When you talk about EdTech, you need to make sure there's an EdTech policy. So we are the agency making sure that there's an EdTech policy to govern everything we are doing here. So my focus is to have that EdTech policy so we can attract everyone to make sure we can move EdTech to the next level. We had an ESP at the Ministry of Education, that is Education Strategic Plan, but that was not an EdTech policy, but through the leadership of the minister, now we are about to launch the first ICT policy that has an extension for EdTech policy in the country. That is one. I also focus on infrastructure. When we talk about infrastructure, we are looking at connectivity, we are looking at digital divide, the tablets and data centers. So the tablets, we just launched the Ghana Smart School project that the government has shown crucial commitment that every student, irrespective of location, senior high school will receive 1 tablet. That have shown the commitment of the government. So the infrastructure bit, we are doing well. And of course, connectivity. There's a deficit in the country. We have 30% deficit. It's still wide. Guess where the deficit is at the remotest part of in the country. So if we are talking about EdTech, we need to achieve the SDG 4, that is equity, equality, and access for everyone. So we can't push EdTech without bringing those persons in. So we are looking at connectivity to be parity at everywhere. So now we are working with Busy Internet and other ISP to provide free Wi-Fi in the school. I also look at content. When it comes to EdTech, crucial aspect is content. The blood of EdTech is content, and the content is not the usual content. So at St. Louis, we focus on e-content that is very aligned with the curriculum. So that is what we do to make sure teachers can teach, utilize the content to teach online. So majority of our content are being used by the teachers in the schools as we speak now. And we focus on tests, interactives, audiovisuals, videos, and quizzes. So all these contents are curriculum aligned. We also look at capacity building. Teachers must be trained, learners must be trained. Everyone should receive training before they can say EdTech is doing well in the country. So capacity building needs to be dished out to the teachers. So St. Louis is in charge of that. We have trained teachers for ERT and other stuff. That is emergency remote training. So now, if education is under attack in the country, teachers can teach online like we did for the country during COVID, utilizing iBox and iCampus. The last part is robust assessment tools. The fidelity of EdTech lies on the assessment tools you put in place. If you don't have good assessment tools, then people will not see EdTech graduation and certificate as weightier compared to traditional setup. So St. Louis is putting a lot of robust assessment tool. We are working with television to bring what we call assessment queues. So everything can be done online. Assessment during preparation, assessment during examination, assessment during reporting, and psychometric analysis. We focus on that. Thank you so much.
Wow. that was amazing. I wonder whether you have anything to say, GES, because the way Sendless is going, EdTech policy, infrastructure, tablet, connectivity, content, training. Hey, that's wicked, man. So, GES, what is left for you to do with all that Sendless is doing? What do you also do?
All right, thank you so much. I'm also delighted and happy to be with you here. GES, as you rightly indicated, is the biggest agency when it comes to service providing in relation to education. You know, we have a number of agencies, as Nana rightly said, but GES, we are the ones implementing all these that they are bringing on board. And we dearly appreciate our role in just producing the kind of manpower that this nation requires. And we are also much appreciative of the fact that the people that we are training today will have influence on what we need and will be able to produce as a nation. Therefore, once our mandate of getting the Ghanaian children, those who have gotten to the school-going age in school, we also talk about access, inclusion, we are also talking about equality, we are talking about accountability, management efficiency. All these things we know very well that with what Nana is saying and what we are doing, EdTech plays serious role because it has been an integral part of what we do. In terms of our content, I'm talking about in terms of curriculum, in terms of our teachers' delivery, pedagogy, ability to teach them and teach them rightly, for us to be able to also assess them. For those of us in management positions, we know EdTech also plays a serious role in supporting us to give the kind of assistance that our teachers will need. In terms of monitoring, in terms of making sure that whatever they are delivering in classroom, even the Director General headquarters will be able to monitor and to see what is going on. Whatever interventions that our teachers will need, we must be able to leverage EdTech to be able to do that. We've done a lot, and we continue to do a lot because we can't take EdTech out of what we do.
Wonderful. Thank you. Put your hands together for Stephen Kuko-Owusu, the Deputy G for GES. So, Larissa, the MasterCard Foundation, you do a lot of things. Just explain the education and skills program, how important it is within the broad framework of the foundation, and why these kinds of conversations we're having are important to this program within the foundation's portfolio.
Thanks, Bernard. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our Young Africa Works strategy, which is a really ambitious strategy to provide 30 million young people with dignified and fulfilling work by 2030. And our target for Ghana is 3 million young people. And so we really had to reimagine what that would look like in terms of actually supporting young people to create jobs or find opportunities. And so we decided to prioritize agriculture and its adjacent sectors. And we are looking at 3 main strategies based on the very broad themes of workforce development and entrepreneurship. So we are looking at MSME strengthening. We want to support value chain actors to have the business development support they need. We're also looking at leveraging technology to support young people within agriculture and adjacent sectors. And then finally, improving education and skills. And this is the area where my team and I work on. For improving education and skills, we are looking at not just improving the quality of education, but also improving access to education and a sector relevance. And so we do a lot of programming. We have a very comparative advantage when it comes to secondary education, and then doing a lot of programming within tertiary and TVET education. So in a nutshell, that's really what we are focused on. Thank you.
With you, Larissa, when I listen on radio to MasterCard Foundation, everything you do with a partner. So Young Africa Works, you have people you do it with. There are things you do with ABSA. I've heard of the Ghana Grows. Almost everything why that approach?
We believe in young people. We're a very youthful population, as you know, and we need to start beginning to leverage young people's expertise. And so we're doing so by offering them opportunities, like I mentioned, within workforce development and entrepreneurship. We want young people to create opportunities, whether it's through self-employment, whether it's through wage employment, and we're doing that through agriculture, which is our priority area for Ghana.
Wonderful. Now, let's try and unpack the topic. The topic is pretty interesting. So, market access, all right? I don't like market. I prefer ecosystem. But I can see why market access is an issue, because we are buying and selling. There's commercial things involved. I want you to explain the ecosystem to me. So when it comes to the skills and education sector, and then the edtech subsector, right? Who are the players? Because we're trying to train or support these social enterprises to gain access into this market and to thrive. But we need to understand the state of play and possibly the entry barriers, for which reason we are even discussing market access. So it's a long way of just simply saying, talk to us about the various moving parts of this edtech ecosystem. I'm still with you, Larissa.
All right, thanks, Bernard. I think the last time we spoke, I touched heavily on the importance of cross-sector partnerships and collaborations among edtech entrepreneurs, people in academia, government agencies, educators and learners as well. I stressed a lot on educators and learners. But today, I really want to focus on our fellows, being edtech entrepreneurs, and really encourage you to work more closely with educators and learners, because they really provide you with the reality on the ground within the learning environment. So it's really important that you get to work more closely with them. But more profoundly, I think we need to look beyond edtech as just a solution, but also as a way of reimagining what education looks like. So for instance, we have adaptive learning tools that are really changing the way we support learners. So if you have, for instance, slow learners, you're supporting them through phased approaches where they can catch up with those who can grasp the whole concept of what they are learning. And I think it's very important that you do so in collaboration with educators and learners.
Wonderful, thank you. Please answer for Larissa. Anyele, I want you to explain to us how difficult it was to enter the market. You've been here for 6 years.
Yes.
I only started taking you seriously a year ago. So it means you needed 5 years to get my attention.
Yes.
Right? Talk to me about the difficulties, some of the barriers you faced when you began 6 years ago.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Bernard. So our insight is that parents, so for us, we equip children to love reading so they succeed in school in the future. And our model is to work with schools, but the parents pay for our service, or we get other people to pay for the service for children whose parents can't afford. So our target insight is that the parents, those who are supposed to pay for it, most parents want what is best for their child. You know, they want what's best for their child to succeed. But there seems to be a break between understanding what we do connects with what is best for their child. And so I think that was a major thing. People think, they don't have enough information regarding the benefits of what we are doing. And I think that applies to a lot of edtechs as well, where we are doing something good and the research shows that they are doing it is good, is going to lead to significant improvements in the lives of your users. But the ones who need to make the decision for your users to use it are not interested, for one reason or the other. And so that was a significant challenge, trying to educate. So when we initially started, we wanted to serve their children, get them to love reading, and that's all we focused on. Then we realized that that was not going to work, because even when we gave the products for free and the children actually read a lot and won medallions, their parents still refused to pay for it. They didn't see why they should, and for us, that was an eye-opener. We realized that we had to really engage all stakeholders very well for them to understand the relationship between why what we do is important and how it can lead their child to succeed as they wanted their child to do. So that's a significant challenge. It means that as an edtech, you have to invest in marketing, and marketing can be expensive. You can do all the research, you can learn all the wonderful, amazing evidence between what you're doing. You can refine it based on the science, the learning sciences and all that, but you need to be able to communicate with the end users and the clients, those who you want to pay, those who will be paying for the service, as to why this service is important. Of course, that was a major challenge for us, but other major challenges include, of course, access to capital. I mean, it takes quite a bit of funds to be able to build a software that others can use, and access to capital has been a bit tricky, as can be the case. So we ended up writing for funding and support, trying to get investors. Investors are looking for traction. It's a chicken and egg situation, and the funders are looking for rural impacts. And so you have to kind of balance what you're doing, trying to be sustainable, at the same time trying to actually impact beyond those who can pay. So that was a significant challenge as well. And then also our product uses internet. And so that is challenging. Internet is not stable in some places. Internet is expensive as well, and you have the case where you get a child to read a lot in the school where you are, and then the child goes home and says, keep reading. Mommy's like, stop reading. The internet is too expensive. You're taking too much data. After all you do to get a child to read, to think that mommy wants you to stop, so the costs involved, of course, if mommy knew that this was a path to success, she would allow the child to read. So the kind of a combination of various factors that make it very difficult to make impact to scale. Many parents also just know the traditional school system and don't know anything else. Anything is viewed with suspicion. The school just wants to increase the fees. So, there's that, dealing with that as well. And so all this is a combination of things why the first 5 years were very difficult to gain traction.
I want to stay with you for a reason. So you have a number of stakeholders. You have the schools.
Yes.
You have the parents. Then you have these people like UNESCO. And then maybe private and public media supporting. Even with the schools, you have public schools.
Yes.
Which generally will have more low income, and then you have private schools.
Yes.
How did you crack the school's code? Because I feel the schools are your first port of call.
Yes.
Once the schools accept you, parents will accept you. Once parents accept you, donors will accept you. So talk to us about how you tailored your offering to, because at your event, all the public schools in Dansoman were there. The head teacher, the district director was there. The students were there. But you were in a private school, and the school was full.
Yes.
How did you manage to get all those guys to agree to let you enter and talk to their students?
Well, very good question. So it's as a result of the lessons we learned early on that it's not just about getting the child to do better at reading, but it takes the entire community and collaboration with all stakeholders. So we actually had to take our time to find out the stakeholders in the system, the ecosystem, should I say. And within the school, it's not just the school owner, but the school management, the teachers, even the supporting staff, and to engage them and to show them why what we do is important for the children to succeed. And then to do the same in the GES system, the whole CISO, the municipal, all the way to the regional director, to get them to understand that we are just on the same page, we are working together to improve literacy. And so it took quite a bit of back and forth and explaining what we do, but we had to put in the time in order to get the effects we wanted to get.
Amazing stuff coming from Angele Pebi. This is EdTech Monday, coming to you from Kempinski Hotel at the launch of the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship. It's a mouthful. We are here before an audience who are excited enough to give us a round of applause. They are not bored. We're talking about gaining market access for EdTech entrepreneurs. We have an audience which includes the 12 new fellows for the fellowship. Our panel includes Angele Pebi, who's with Pebi Caps. We also have Stephen Kweku Owusu, Deputy DG of GES. We have Nana Jemfi Ejwabo, who is the ED of Sendlos. And of course, we have Larissa Kofi, Program Lead for Education Skills, Mastercard Foundation. Mr. Owusu, GES. One of the everlasting complaints I get from tech entrepreneurs, the public schools are a difficult nut to crack. I mean, you go to a school, you have to go through 20 layers of approvals. And it's like our bosses in Accra don't even want you to come and talk to us. Anyele has done well, but for every Anyele, there are many, many who have given up because they are seen as a threat. They are not seen as partners. Talk to me about your general policy around innovative edtechs. How welcoming you are to what they do. That's point one. And point two, what are the rules? How do I engage? If I have a product or a service that I think will be useful to schools, what do I need to do to be listened to? So it's a 2-in-1, sir. Yeah, it's on. It's on. Just keep talking to come.
Right. With GES, it is not difficult at all. And we have a number, not at all, because we have a number of partners here, even in this very room, that we've worked with to introduce a lot of projects and interventions. But we also have our own standards and guides. We cannot just get up and walk into our schools and talk to a headmaster or headmistress and then have access to our school. We run with certain policies. And with us in Ghana, we have a centralized system with GES. So Director General is the overall manager of all our schools. And therefore, whatever happens in any of the schools, wherever it is, the Director General should be aware. It's just a matter of just coming to Director General, and the Director General, through the regional directors and the district directors, will grant you access to our schools. But for GES, we have done a lot, and the lot that we have done, we know very well that we cannot do it alone. We need collaboration in building this infrastructure that will support EdTech. We also need collaboration in sourcing funds to be able to get to all the software, the programs, and then the tools that we need to be able to do our work and do it so well. Through our collaboration, and that is to confirm what we have been able to do. COVID taught us a lesson, and it pushed us so fast to be able to run instead of to be crawling. Before COVID, we had EdTech, and we have leveraged technology in doing whatever we are doing in terms of teaching, learning materials, and others. But after COVID, we realized that we need to introduce what we call education in emergency, and it was at the time that we needed to fast track whatever we are doing with our partners so that we can get learning platforms, and we have introduced what we call the learning management platforms. The other areas that we're also doing is the introduction of our laptops, and I'm talking about one teacher, one laptop. We're also talking about one student, one tablet. These are the areas that are giving the indication that GES is ready to work with any EdTech company that is to support us to play our role and to play it well. So, Bernard, our guidelines and our policies are just to make sure that we are so efficient. We just to make sure that we do the right thing, and we are also be able to monitor whatever.
How well do you work with Sendelos in terms of approving an EdTech offering? Somebody comes with a great idea, they want to share it to the schools. Is Sendelos your guy in the EdTech space that you say, hey guys, check this guy out for me? Or you have your own system of verification? Just want to know whether there are certain layers of relationships between you and them.
Thank you. We do not have our own way of getting to where we want to get to in terms of policy. Sendelos is the one that is supposed to technically advise us because it's an agency in the ministry. So whatever we are doing in terms of the EdTech space, we work with Sendelos. They are the ones we collaborate for them to guide us as to how to do it. It comes to the content of what we present to our case. I'm talking about the curriculum. We work closely with Sendelos. We work closely with NACA. We have other agencies that work together with GES. We just implement the policies that the ministry makes through or with the support of all other agencies, and GES will lead in making sure that we implement them.
I'm very happy to hear this. Put your hands together for Stephen Kweku Owusu, Deputy DG. Nana, you are nodding, which means what he's saying is true. Just confirm it. It's on. Just press it. Just put it on. It's on. Yes. No.
Yes, I think at St. Louis we work with GES. They are the implementers. So we have that ecosystem whereby we share ideas with them. And of course, when it comes to approvals and trainings and other stuff and Eno Hubs ideas, we work with them very, very much so. Yeah.
Wonderful. You listed 5 things, and thank you for listing them. It gives us a framework for what you do. You champion the policy, EdTech and ICT policy. You support infrastructure, which includes both gadgets and connectivity. You are interested in content. You do training and the rest of it. 2 questions. Is there not a sense in which you are doing too much? Right? Because you are just one government agency. Aren't you doing, I mean, it's what would the rest of us chop? It's like we the people in the industry, you alone. You know, you have the policy, you have the infrastructure, you are supplying the tablet, you are creating the content, you are doing the training. So what should the rest of us also do to survive? That's the first question. Just talk to me a bit about how deep you go into all of these and whether there are spaces within the things you do to collaborate with some of the people in this room.
All right, that's good. And I'll make sure this time I'll leave some for GES. Yes, looking at what we do, of course, based on what I said, there's still a critical gap of things other persons can also do. When it comes to the policy and all the other areas I mentioned, that comes together in totality to be the EdTech objectives in the country. And if you look at where the minister, in terms of how he wants to reimagine education, all the areas I mentioned is dovetailing what the minister is doing, and he is expecting St. Louis to pull and bring all the stakeholders together. So to deepen all of this, we introduced what we call the National Distance Digital Learning Conference, which brings every stakeholder together in the country. Before I assumed the leadership of St. Louis, you could see that most of the EdTech persons in the country or companies were doing projects in silos. But through that conference, now we are here together. I'm very happy because now you could identify all the EdTech persons in the ecosystem, and now we are working together as a team. So it helps to, to take away redundancy, duplication of effort. So now we are working together. So that is helping. That helps for me to achieve that. When it comes to the Eno Hubs and what is happening here today, St. Louis also have a policy or something that guides the special startups in the country. What we do mimics what Silicon Valley is doing. If you go to Silicon Valley, they have it boldly written that innovate to scale. You do not innovate not to scale. So if any startup is here, when you come to St. Louis, we want you to innovate to scale. So even when we take your ideas, we want to see how you plan to scale it up to solve a problem. So if you are thinking you just want to come up with an EdTech innovation for yourself, then it's not for the country or for St. Louis. So let's focus on that. And also an advice for all the startups. What I can share with you at St. Louis, and we are working with MEST, is you need to create that EdTech innovations or your ideas to solve a problem in totality for everyone. To do that, there has to be what we call empathy mapping. You need to be in the shoes of the users, in the shoes of the learners, in the shoes of the teachers, everyone. Before you can even think of doing any production, you need to do those research to gather evidence and data so you can do it. After you do that, then you look at the design thinking to make sure what you have done could actually help what we are doing. So at St. Louis, we support all of these to support what you are saying.
Now, I'm still with you, but I want to ask a question. So is the EdTech policy out? Or it's being worked on? Is the EdTech policy out?
Yes, it will be launched, I think, next month.
What about the ICT policy? Is it the same policy?
The same.
So there will be, EdTech ICT policy.
Yeah,
so
together.
Has anybody here been involved at any stage in the policy development? Have you seen a draft? Have you made an input? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want to know. So we are a legitimate EdTech community. There's an EdTech policy being launched. Is there anybody in the room who has a sniff of the policy? This is not a trick question. I just want to know. I'm just filling the room out. Anybody? I'm not going to ask you any question about it. I just want to know. Show by hands. If you've seen the policy. Okay, you've smelled the policy. You've heard about it. Yes. Oh, I just be so. One. I want to see hands. Okay. So yes. So at some level you've seen, made an input or a suggestion that you believe went into the policy. Let me see by hands. All right. So you're not sure. You're not sure. So we may need a forum for the stakeholders to have a feel of the policy before you launch it. Because the policy would create the framework for which they can engage with you and government. So they don't come to your office every day. Because out of the policy will flow the laws and the rules and regulations. That's how it works. So this is not to put the policy down, but I think this room has some of the best social enterprises, educational institutions within the EdTech space. And if the policy is going to be launched, it will be a great idea. How many of you think it's a great idea? That you want to feel the policy? Then put your hands together for me for asking that question. Wonderful. Having said that, is there anything in the policy that recognizes the role of EdTech startups, social enterprises in education? Why am I asking this question? It's a wrong premise, but private schools generally feel like, since we started free SHS, government doesn't prioritize them anymore. They feel like it's all about public schools, which is great. Public schools, everybody has to go to school. So they feel excluded, rightly or wrongly. So if you're doing an EdTech policy, the innovators, the guys who are creating the content, the guys who are finding value in solving our problems must have a space. Can you talk to us about whether the policy has space for these guys, whether it encourages partnerships at all? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think the policy responds or speak to all the areas you mentioned. We know definitely the times we are in, EdTech is the name of the game, especially when it comes to education. That is post-COVID. So in the wisdom, again, of the Honorable Minister for Education and the ministry, they know that startups will come up and there has to be engagement between stakeholders. So the implementation of this policy, of course, we have engaged most of the CSOs and a lot of private sector, industry, academia. Engagement has gone on. Reasons why it hasn't been launched is the minister wants us to do a lot of in-depth engagement. So some of them will happen, and also he wants us to benchmark the policy with another country or another place that they have also introduced. So we are going to do benchmarking with a policy before we launch it. So that's a good point. I can assure you that all of you at some point will be engaged so we can speak to the policy. It's for everyone. When it comes to startups, yes, we have a provision for that. We have a provision for devices, teaching, private sector, everyone, we have factored you in. Now there's a crucial aspect of that we need to hear your voice. We cannot sit there and impose on you. So that we are going to engage all of you so you can speak to that. When it comes to platforms, yes, we have the Policy Captures platform, and we did a lot of research with most of the private sector to make sure the platforms is separate. When it comes to platform, if you don't take time, you may think a platform as we created for LMS is just like a social media. There has to be a disparity. When a student goes on an LMS, they have to have a feel that they are in a classroom. So there has to be a disparity. The policy speaks to that. And also data. Now, when it comes to EdTech, we have something we call datafication. So we spoke to that in the policy, that data is the name of the game. But where do we save our data in the country, EdTech data? Where does it go? Do we sell the data and all these kind of stuff? So the policy looks at that and how to utilize content and devices and everything. So that is a fantastic part we are looking at.
Thank you. Round of applause for him. He has committed live on camera and before the witnesses here gathered that we will definitely be involved before the launch. And I'm suspecting the launch will be probably in the next quarter. So you will engage us at your own cost. And we will come. Larissa, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Scalability is very key because we can't go everywhere. So when we have somebody who's doing well, we want to help them to do better. How important is scale in this conversation about market access? But on a more specific level, what are some of the things the fellowship will do for these 12 companies? What kind of capacity will be built so that at the end of the day, these guys will be ready to take on the world? So it's a 2-in-1.
Thank you. So I really want to center it on the values of the MasterCard Foundation. So we really embrace our values of listening, of co-creation, of kindness and respect, of humility. And I say this to say because we want to raise edtech entrepreneurs who think beyond profits, but can also think about purpose. And purpose is really a driving factor to scalability and something that will contribute to lasting impact and legacy. And I think a lot of us within the development space, this is an opportunity for us beyond providing funding and resources and guidance. We really need to work with young people, specifically our edtech entrepreneurs, to think beyond profitability. It's important, but think about purpose as well.
Wonderful.